Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we are going to be doing a medium full set, and my client requested a design that had some pink, some black French tips, and a little bit of silver, as well as some minimal nail art. So continue watching if you guys want to see how I did these nails. Alright, so you guys will see me gluing down my nail tips. These are my preferred square tips that I get on Amazon. I've shown them previously before in my other videos, so go check those out. I will put a link in the description as well. But I love these tips. They don't really need too much pre-filing, and they're not C-curved, so they are perfect for just a regular straight square look. When you go to start cutting, I always start on the ring finger and cut a little bit longer than their preferred length, just to make sure that it's not too short for them, and then ask your client if that's how they would like it and go ahead and proceed and cut the rest of the tips. You'll also see me placing one hand over the other and getting like a rough shape check, length check, a length check. Some of my clients have different width length nail beds compared to their right hand and their left hand, so I always double check the shape, the length of it before and after I apply the acrylic, because sometimes once you lay the acrylic down, you'll be able to see a little bit better on the evenness of the length. So I do recommend trimming your client's cuticles when necessary. If there's just is noticeably some dead skin, go ahead and clip it. Or if their cuticles tend to grow on their nail bed, please go ahead at this point and use either a cuticle bit and push those cuticles back, or use a cuticle pusher. I do like to do this at this step of my process, because right after this I will go in with my sanding band and I'll be sanding down my nail tips. And this is a good time to also just sand around the cuticles to get the whatever skin is left over. This is a good prep step to make sure that your application is smooth. If you have any issues with lifting, this is something that you do want to pay close attention to and make sure you are doing. It also just looks really nice, especially if your client has some dry skin, dead skin, hangnails, or just pick around their cuticles. This is a good thing to do before you start going in with all those acrylics and chemicals and liquids. So here you'll see me go around the cuticle one time and then go in and start sanding my nail tips. I don't like to overly drill or have any risk of damaging my client's nails, so doing all of this in one go is perfect. So after you remove all the dust from the nail bed, this is my go-to combination for prep. I go in with the Mia Secret Dehydrator, and then I go in with my Young Nails Bond, and I do use 2 coats of this bond just to really make sure you're hitting the whole nail with the adhesive. And next we're gonna go in with our application. My application is pretty basic. I try to use 2 beads and then maybe some touch-up beads afterwards. This is my go-to powder. I use a base of the Cover Flamingo from the Young Nails collection, but then I do add a bit of a hot pink powder to the mixture. I think it's Chisel number 11. It's like a really hot pink. So after this first bead, you'll see me drag the acrylic up and going down and tapping the tip just to get that really square look. And then on the second bead, I'll go in and place it a little bit underneath the cuticle. You don't want to do it on top and risk flooding. And make sure you're holding the finger down and just really let gravity do its work. You'll push it up into the cuticle without flushing and let gravity just fall. And once you feel like the powder is ready, you're just gonna drag it down and you get that perfect apex that you need. So again, on the next finger, you want to go in with that initial bead and slowly push it up, and as gravity is just bringing the powder down, you want to tap it around, work with it, and slowly start to drag it and making sure you're keeping that shape. So this saves time whenever you're filing and drilling later. So I usually use about a size 10 to 12 acrylic brush. I think this is either the Nailco brand or the Kolinsky brand. I can't remember, but I get that from my local nail supply store. And these brushes last me a long time, as long as you're doing your proper brush cleaning routine and making sure you're cleaning it after each use. They last really, really good. Next, we're getting into the filing. I'm using my zebra file. This is a 180 by 100 file. I also like the 100 by 100 file. I also get these from my local supply store. When I file, I tend to not file too much on the first round, because after I go in with my drill, I do like to hit it again with the file just to get that really extra crispy look, and then go underneath the nail as well to make sure it's as straight and uniformed as possible. Okay, so we're getting into the design portion of this process. Most of the nails will be French. So I think I did 3 black French tips. And when you're doing French tips, you want to ask your client, if you don't already have a sample of different French tips, go ahead and do one French tip and see how deep and skinny they like theirs, as well as how far up they want their French tip. There's a whole bunch of different ways you can do French tip that people prefer. So yeah, go ahead, before you even get into doing all of the outlines of the French tips, do one first, see how your client likes it, and then go ahead and do the rest. So we did the black French, and then we did the hot pink French tip on the pointer finger, and then I did a 3D design, chrome design on the ring finger. So this is probably my most requested design I get asked to do, which is those 3D lines on the side of a French tip. Most of the time I just go in with clear, but because I wanted a more opaque black on black look, I went ahead and mixed some black polish into my McCart nail glue, and that's how I do this. I also like to try to fast cure each line just so it doesn't move and it looks as clean as possible. Okay, so on this ring finger, we're doing that chrome design, and I use that same mixture of black polish and nail glue, but then I go in and I add a couple drops of clear top coat. I usually use the Koopa Gel top coat, and you just want to add a couple drops and mix that in. I find this gives the best mirror effect with your chrome. And once you do your preferred design, you want to go ahead and cure that for 30 seconds. And once you pick out your desired chrome, you want to use either a sponge applicator or your finger, just depends on your preference, and rub that on. As you can see, it comes out so smooth. And if you're not using a matte top coat on top of your base, which isn't really needed unless you have like some type of design or color underneath it already, I'm just doing this on my base. So I just wiped with alcohol and then did all the artwork so that none of the powder will stick to anything else but your design. And then you want to go in with that same mixture and go around the outline of your previous design. Some people do this a little bit differently. I guess it just depends on the thickness that you want. I prefer using my gel mixture to give it just a little bit of a 3D look, and then you could go over it with the same mixture again if you want it thicker. But I have seen people use either modeling gel or their IBD gel for this process for a more thicker look, but this is just what we did today. And yeah, so this is the finished outcome. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please leave a comment, like, and subscribe. Let me know what you guys want to see me do next. I am trying to do more nail art videos, so stay tuned.